My current most worn 10 cheap cologne fragrances. Before starting the main list, I have here one honorable mention, Club de Nuit Intense Man EDP by Armaf. I like all the line, and this is hands down one of my most worn cheap cologne fragrances in entire my journey. I don't want to keep reviewing and reviewing over and over, so that's why it is only honorable mention. By the way, some of the cologne fragrances in today's list are not cheap anymore due to hype. Let's see the main list. Let's start the list by House of Franck Olivier. I have here Blue Touch, one of the best alternatives for, cheap alternatives for Acqua di Gio, the regular one. So in terms of performance, it is even better compared to the regular batches of Acqua di Gio, new formulations, let's say, and smells more aquatic, and at some points that aquaticness is here boosted compared to the Acqua di Gio. Gets solid compliments, one of those dump-rich fragrances in my collection, and I mostly prefer it for extremely hot days or gym type of situations. I can get like 8 hours plus longevity with this one, 7-8 hours, which is impossible with current batches of Acqua di Gio, and 2 hours of good projection and sillage, and ladies love it. At number 9, I have here Fattan, one of the most underrated fragrances from House of Letzafa, which is absolutely one of the best alternatives, cheap alternatives of Terre de Hermes EDT version. Although it is a bit greener compared to the Terre de Hermes, but lasts way longer. With this one I get solid 10-12 hours plus, you can't imagine. And it is very strong, citrusy, green, earthy type of fragrance. Lasts on me solid 10-12 hours plus, on the clothing like 2-3 days, and projection and sillage is average for first 2 hours. Not one of the most complimented fragrances in my collection, but I really like that mature, earthy, dusty, and zesty type of scent profile of this fragrance. I really enjoy it. Number 8 is again from House of RASASI, hands down one of the best cologne fragrances I've ever purchased in entire my journey. I assure you, I'm talking about La Yuqawam. Probably you have heard this one. It is, I wouldn't say it is clone of Tom Ford Tuscan leather. It is killer of Tom Ford Tuscan leather. Lasts way longer and smells exactly like that fragrance. It is like leathery, slightly very little powdery and fruity at the top. Smells very high quality and pure leather. If you are into leather note, this is definitely a must-have for you. About performance, I can say it is like solid, strong 16-18 hours plus on the skin, on the clothing, like 1-2 weeks. Projection and sillage is like 3-4 hours, very loud, screaming. Gets compliments. I prefer it for colder seasons, a bit dressed up situations. Number 7, when I want something sexy, dressed up for nights out type of situations, the fragrance that smells expensive without breaking the bank, I reached this one. Liquid Brun by French Avenue or Fragrance World. This is like ambery, burnt, smoky. Vanilla and amber are main players here, and has a bit of freshness. At the dry down at the top is more smoky compared to the Alter by Parfums de Marly. This is clone of Alter by Parfums de Marly. Just only at the opening it differs, but at the dry down I can say it is almost identical to that fragrance, except performance. I would say it is exactly like Parfums de Marly Alter. With Alter I can get like 10-12 hours plus solid longevity. With this one 6-7 hours barely, I have to say to you honestly. And projection and sillage is like hour and a half average, and somehow below average, but yeah, fair enough, noticeable type of projection and sillage, and definitely a complimenting fragrance. Let's continue by one of the most accurate yet underrated fragrances in my collection, which is a solid, great bang for the buck in my opinion. I'm talking about Cassius by Maison Alhambra, which is for whatever reason very underrated. Maybe it is because of that daring scent profile. It is not for everyone, but the smells highly expensive and extremely close to, almost identical, I have to say, to this one, to Parfums de Marly Carlisle, which is one of my all-time favorites from that house. It is like resiny, dark, mysterious, and leathery. If you have smelled red tobacco, you're gonna get also same atmosphere. It is like next level version of red tobacco, I have to say, to this one. In terms of performance, I can get like 6-7 hours plus max longevity with this one, with first hour and a half average projection and sillage, but $20 for 100 ml. It is a no-brainer bargain price for this fragrance. Now we are at top 5. Let's continue by another killer cologne fragrance. By the way, remember to subscribe and support me by your likes. I really appreciate that. Killer because it is killer of Tom Ford Oud Wood. I'm talking about fragrance called Oud Wonder. Honestly, after purchasing this fragrance, I will never ever rebuy Tom Ford Oud Wood. I like that fragrance, but it is a bit salty, it is expensive, and this one is 80 ml, 20-25 bucks max, and lasts little bit, like 1 hour longer for me compared to the Oud Wood by Tom Ford. I can get with Oud Wood, let's say good 6 hours, with this one good 7 hours. Oud Wood lasts longer on clothing, to be honest, compared to this one, but for this price I have no complaint. So in terms of performance, I can get like 7 hours plus with this one, and projection and series over and half, average at some points below average, but it's noticeable. You can reapply it and overspray it. And if you haven't smelled the Tom Ford Oud Wood and you don't know how is the scent profile, it is like mature, slightly green, and you're gonna get cardamom at the top. It is very little soapy at the background and dark woody. Number 4 is another great value for your hard-earned money, and one of those cologne fragrances that I will keep recommending to you, as it is long-lasting, compliment-getting, and expensive smelling. I am talking about Turathi Blue from House of Afnan, which is very yummy, outstanding, clean, citrusy, and woody type of fragrance, very close to Bulgari Tiger, which is highly expensive, and this one smells as expensive. I assure you, if you want a long-lasting and expensive smelling, refreshing, compliment-getting cheapy, this is a must try for you, a must have. Lasts on me like good 8 to 10 hours plus, and projection and sillage is good 2 hours, and gets definitely crazy solid compliments. I prefer it for spring and summer. Number 3 is again by House of Afnan. In my opinion, it is at top 5 best fragrances ever created by Afnan. I'm talking about Supremacy Not Only Intense, which is a great value for the money, as it is long lasting extremely and also concentrated. It is extra de parfum, means it has 40% oil concentration. So at the very first sniff, it is like Aventus, but at the dry down leans to Nishane's Hajivat side, as it is earthier rather than smokier, but at the top it is like fruity, slightly it has creamy vibe, which also reminds me of Nishane's Hajivat. Let's say to this one it is like mixture, hybrid of Creed Aventus and Nishane's Hajivat, which leans closer to Nishane's Hajivat, and performances for sure better than Aventus. It is like 12 hours plus in terms of lasting on the skin, and 3, not 4 hours, yeah, barely 4 hours, let's say to this one. Good projection and sillage. It is loud, one of those beast mode, let's say citrusy, woody, earthy fragrances in my collection, which gets solid compliments. Number 2 is again by RASASI. Without any further ado, let's get into it. Hawas Black, which is exact clone of Nishane's Hajivat. If you have Supremacy Not Only Intense, is it redundant? I don't think so, because this one is like also more fruity and playful. But if I have to prefer one between these two, if you want exact clone of Hajivat, you can go by this one, but if you want something more playful and complementary, you can try Afnan Supremacy Not Only Intense. To be honest, I get better compliments with Afnan one, but right now it is my most worn fragrance at number 2 compared to the other clones. I can get like 14-16 hours plus longevity with this one. It is crazy concentrated fragrance and pungent beast mode, let's say, to this one. But projection and sillage is not that loud. It is like 3 hours solid good, not very loud, as it is highly concentrated. And number 1, I have 3 backup bottles of this one also, and I believe my bottle is running out. No, it is like less than half, let's say, to this one. Precieux, Club de Nuit Precieux, or Precieux by Armaf, which is one of the best jobs from this house in terms of that scent profile. It is highly expensive smelling, it is rounded and very mouth-watering. I really enjoy this one. It is very close to Absolute Aventus by Creed. Opens up very fruity, yummy and playful, and dry down is like woody, earthy, very little smoky, not as smoky as Aventus. If you have smelled Absolute Aventus, it is more like woody rather than let's say smoky. Lasts on me like 10 hours plus. I would say to this one solid 10 hours, and projection and sillage is like 2 to 3 hours, good. And for sure one of the most complimented cologne fragrances right now in my collection. I want to apply it again. Take care, guys.